we're gonna be rigging this little cute emote here today. It's like a scribble note. The first thing you should do when you're trying to make an emote is look up references, because references are the core component of anything you're gonna draw. Twitter is usually where I go to look for these things. Let me get these up. So I found this one. So I'm mostly just looking like, how is it framed as an emote? And those kinds of things, right? Because the first step is looking at an emote and saying, okay, what are the motions that are happening? And what do I want on the screen, right? So this little guy, he puts his head down, the paper comes up, the pen scribbles, and then he raises his head again and then does a nod. This is the common note emote, and that's what we're gonna be making. This is incorrect. Do not start with this box, okay? We need to go up to edit, change our canvas size, and we're going to increase this by, let's put it up to here. So now we have an outer border, right? So before you increase your canvas size, I would recommend coloring in the background. I usually do a grey, something neutral. So when you increase your canvas size, you'll see that this is going to be your emote area. So basically, anything beyond the border is not going to be visible when you animate it. But it's important for Live2D specifically, and I think this is kind of the case with other forms of animation too. But you need to draw beyond the box. If I were to move her to the left or right, you're gonna see that this part of the hair is cut off. So that would just be an ugly straight line if I just drew it in the box, right? Stinky. Alright, so I might need to move myself for this bit actually, because you need to see the layers. Hang on. I'm going over here, don't mind me. Hey. So what I usually do is I'll make 2 layers, and I'm gonna call these both head. The top one is gonna be our line art, and then we're gonna do the color on the second one. But the basics of it is, if I had this zoomed out, right, and I was looking at this from, like, Twitch chat, would I be able to tell what the heck it is? So we're gonna start off by doing our lines. Obviously this is gonna be completely depending on how you style. The layer thing is important. So for emotes specifically, I like having thicker lines. So if I look at this when I'm zoomed out and I don't like how thick this is, I can correct the line width, because thicker lines will make it a bit more visible, I tend to find. Because if you use really thin lines on an emote, it's not going to come out as well when it's small. So we're gonna merge down these layers together. So now if I hide the sketch, you're gonna see that the head is now one piece. Basically from here we just add layers for each part that we want to have animated. So for example, we'll do our nose next. You're gonna see that the nose is separated here, right? Because this is gonna be moving separately to the face a little bit. The eyes and mouth are going to be a special case. We're going to start off with the mouth. I'm going to make a subfolder for the mouth, because for Live2D specifically, we need to set up this mouth in a very specific way. We're going to create 2 new layers. We're going to have an upper lip and a lower lip. Make sure the upper lip is above the lower lip as well. And for our upper lip, we're just gonna draw on our lips here. Carla's got a cat face, because, I mean, she's a cat. We've got our upper lip here. And we're gonna make this a little bit more invisible. We're gonna make a lower lip, and I usually have this just a line across. So when we go to animate this in Live2D, I'll show you what's gonna happen, but basically, this lower line here is going to be the one that stretches downwards into this shape. So the upper lip is still the cat face. Now you might be wondering, this looks kind of gross, right? It's because we need to add a little bit of skin, which will be merged onto our lip here. So in this case, we're gonna have a little bit of skin on our upper lip. This is just above the lip, not below it. You'll also need to do the same for the lower lip. Merge those. But before we do that, we're going to add our mouth inner. This is going to be the color inside of our mouth. And for an emote, we can just have this in whatever shape we want to open it to. So you can kind of imagine where the lower line is going to sit on this shape. I'm not going to bother with the tongue because it's not really going to show when it's in emote size. So we can leave this. But now you're like, but now the mouth is showing. What's this all about? You know what you can do? Add some more skin. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our lower lip and we're gonna add a skin layer to this one too. Sometimes to make it easier to see, I make it in a different color first. So we can do this. Like that. And then color this back into our... Bop. Ho-ho! Hidden! Merge that down onto the lower lip. So now that's our mouth parts all done. So you'll see like... Oh! It's hiding. Wow! Yippee! Next onto our eyes. Alright, so we're gonna separate these eyes into eye right and eye left. So this isn't gonna matter too much, but I'm gonna teach you it anyway because if you're ever planning to do Live2D models, this is gonna be important. So when we're rigging in Live2D, ordinarily the left side is actually the right side and the right side is actually the left because it's from the perspective of the model, not us staring at it, right? This isn't going to be relevant for emotes specifically because it's just an animation, but if we're using tracking, then if we're blinking our eye right, it's actually going to be this eye, right? Because this is the right side of the character. So I'm going to make our eyelid. Next we want to do our eyeball. It's going to be below our eyelid. Let's zoom in on her eye. There are several degrees of separation that you can do on eyeballs. For an emote, you don't need to do that much because you're not going to really see it that much. You know what, I might be able to cheat here a little. I'm gonna be a little cheeky and see if we can get away with it. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. And then edit it a little bit. Just make sure you're covering the whole folder, okay? And you'll also need to rename your layers. And for the eyes, you're gonna want to wrap over that eyeball. Okay, let's rename all of these to eyelid left. Let's do the hair next. So for a full model, ordinarily you'd want... So let's say your bangs look like, I don't know, like this, right? So you're gonna have this part separate, and then this part separate, and, you know, so on and so forth, right? And then these would all combine into this. But for an emote, we can get away with just having this part. So we're going to separate it into the front bangs, the side bangs, and then the back hair. Alright, then we're going to do our side bang. So here's another important thing to bear in mind when you're doing layers. You need to add a bit more than you expect to. So for example, when I'm drawing this bit here, you'll see that I have this part here, which is technically below the bangs, but we need to have a little bit extra, otherwise there's going to be a cutoff right here, and it's going to look weird, okay? Don't do that. Since this character has the same side hair, you can just do a little bit of shenanigans, and then boot. We're mostly done with the hair. You're gonna see that there is a little bit here that is not filled. So we're gonna have to add a filler layer, I like to call it. We're gonna do this below the head. We're just gonna call this hair filler. Alright, let's add some ears. Because ears are pretty important. We're actually gonna make the ears one layer, because there's gonna be some shenanigans that you can do in Live2D later. Trust me, it will be worth it. Next up, we can do our back hair. So this is going to be our ear, right. Our back hair is going to be behind everything. We're just going to grab everything and make it slightly transparent so that we can see what we're doing. So our back hair on this one is going to cover like around and over. We need to make sure that we have it going under our outfit, like so. We need to tweak this actually. It's a little bit off. So we can separate the hair into three main parts, really. It's front, side, back. And then you can break it down further depending on what you're doing. This capo here has symmetrical back hair, so I can actually do this. Merge these down. Connect these. Now you may think, oh, when are you gonna see this top part, right? You're gonna see it, trust me. Trust me on that. We're actually gonna simplify it a little bit, because it's barely gonna come through on an emote. Because when her head nods downwards, this part is going to come into the visible area here. So we need to make sure that we have this section drawn. Okay, I'm actually going to make this our darker colour since this is the back hair. Fill this in. There we go. We're going to merge this down, and then we're going to make everything visible again. Okay, it's looking cute so far, but we still have a little bit more to do. So we have our head all done. I'm gonna go ahead and rename our folder here Tala Head, so we can get a little bit more organized. We're going to make a Tala Body folder, and this isn't gonna consist of too much. And then we're gonna have one for the notebook too. And the notebook is going to be on the top, so make sure that you are layering correctly. Just realized I need to move our back hair. So our back hair needs to be at the very, very back. So I'm gonna move this behind the body. So ordinarily when you're drawing a neck for a model, you'll want like to actually extend it up like this. You don't need to do it too badly on an emote like this, because it's not going to show too much of the neck. So let's fill in our collar. We are gonna have a filler layer for the collar too, because it's gonna be behind the neck. So just fill in the front part for now. So we're gonna have a layer called collar filler. Basically, when you're drawing for Live2D, you want to be consciously aware of blank spaces. So there's gonna be a blank space behind this collar, so I'm gonna fill it in. That I didn't do it properly. Yeah, we're just gonna fill this like that. There we go. That should work. There we go. So now the whole collar is filled. But this has to be behind the neck, because if I put this up with the collar layer, it's gonna... yeah. There are sometimes little things that you have to pay attention to. Alright, that's our body done. Okay, so we've got our little scribbly do. So with our notebook, I'm gonna draw our notebook. Next we need our pencil. Because Tala isn't trusted around pens after the incident. One pencil scribble. And looks like last thing we have to do is our little porbs. And the porbs are going to be one in front of a notebook. This is going to be our paw, right? We want one below the notebook. And we're going to do a little cheeky because we can just do this. We're going to need to extend this one a little bit out though. Apply. Oh, look at them holding the little pencil. It looks horrific. I love it. The grey box is where our emote is gonna be. I mean, in theory, you could just do this, and like this. So this is gonna be the bounds of our emote. But as you can see, we have extended version, because we're gonna need this for the animation part, which we are about to start!